As the days turned into weeks, the distance between Capitu and me grew insurmountable. The warmth that had once defined our relationship was replaced by an icy tension that lingered in every conversation, every glance. I found myself questioning, not just her actions, but her very nature. I hated myself for these thoughts, but I couldn't escape them. Every smile she gave, every word she spoke seemed calculated, as if she were playing a role that only I could see through. And yet, despite my doubts, I couldn't let her go. One afternoon, as I sat alone in the study, my mother entered the room. She had been watching the unraveling of my relationship with Capitu from a distance, her disapproval more evident than ever. "Bento," she began, her tone measured but firm. "I've kept silent long enough. It's time we spoke honestly about Capitu," I sighed, bracing myself for another lecture. "What is it, Mun?" "She's not the right woman for you," she said. "She never was. I tried to warn you, but you wouldn't listen. Now look at what's happened." "You don't know her," I said, though my voice lacked conviction. "I know enough," she replied. "And so do you. Deep down, you've always known she wasn't suitable. You just didn't want to admit it." Her words cut deep, not because they were cruel, but because they echoed the doubts that had been plaguing me for so long. "Let her go, Bento," she said, her voice softening. "It's not too late to make things right." I didn't respond, but her words lingered long after she had left the room. That evening, I decided to confront Capitu once and for all. I needed answers, needed to know if my doubts were justified or if I was simply a prisoner of my own insecurities. "Capitu," I said, my voice trembling with a mixture of anger and desperation. "I need to know the truth." She looked up from her book, her expression wary. "The truth about what?" "About us," I said. "About everything. I can't go on like this, not knowing if I can trust you." Her eyes filled with tears, but her voice remained steady. "Bento, I've told you the truth over and over again. I love you. I've never given you a reason to doubt me." "But what about the note?" I pressed. "What about the way you act around other men?" Her tears began to fall, but she didn't look away. "I can't control what other people say or do, Bento. I can only control myself. And I've done nothing to betray you." I wanted to believe her, but the doubts refused to let go. "I don't know if I can do this anymore," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. She looked at me then, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and resolve. "If you can't trust me, Bento, then maybe you're right. Maybe we can't do this anymore." That night, as I lay awake in bed, I couldn't stop replaying our conversation in my mind. Her words haunted me, but so did my own. I had pushed her to the brink, driven by insecurities that I couldn't seem to overcome. But even as I acknowledged my own faults, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story, that Capitu was hiding something from me. The next morning, I made a decision. I would find out the truth, no matter what it took. When doubt takes root, it can destroy even the strongest of loves. In the next chapter, I'll reveal the choices I made in my search for the truth, and the consequences that would follow. Don't miss it.